Who did you think I was talking to? Just practicing.
Well, it's just it isn't on YouTube yet.
Oh, okay,
It's on
maybe
Facebook.
we're not live. It's on
It's
Facebook.
on
We're live
Facebook.
somewhere, I'm sure. We're live somewhere.
Live somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think we are actually live on YouTube, but we'll continue anyway until our producer tells us not to. Omar, are you okay?
Good, mate. Yeah, all good. Yeah, just rushed back. Just been playing.
Yeah, we're live now.
So yeah, all good, mate. A bit sweaty, I'm afraid, but we'll push on, mate. Push on.
That's fine. Possibly you may have missed the start if you've been watching us on YouTube. Apologies for that. Blame Adam Bates. So yeah, Villa got off to a good start, Dolan, but then the game completely got away from us. Crystal Palace is a difficult place to go. They're a good outfit, Crystal Palace. I was very impressed for them. But really the same old problems for Villa.
I'm just bored, man. I'm just fed up, bored. 3 games in, the whole fan base is flat. Everything's so predictable.
Flat,
just when you think
upset.
It's just everyone. Well, I don't know. It's just everyone's just kind of like. I would say flat. Everyone just feels really flat. And classic Villa. You go 1-0 up, and then 2 minutes later, you concede. And every time under Gerrard, when we go a goal behind, we just don't ever look like getting back into the game, and it's just very worrying, mate. Bournemouth was more anger because of the pre-season and all the talk from the club, and Everton, we did our best to try and lose that game, but we just couldn't quite manage to throw it away. And then Palace was just like, same old Villa, and same problems rear their ugly heads. We can't control the ball, we can't pass the ball. There's no patterns of play. There's no shape. Midfield's just getting bypassed. Zaha absolutely bullied our back four, and it was just really dull and uninspiring, and just lots of questions, mate. Lots of questions to be asked, and lots of questions should be asked at the club because it's just not good enough, mate.
Omar, you were there in the away end. How was it? How was the atmosphere in the away end? What was the frustration like?
It was really good to begin with, and I think the away fans, like I said last time, is a good barometer of what the wider fan base is feeling. But it was really good at the beginning. The first goal went in. It was, it was crazy in the way in. It was loud. It was loud throughout the match, even though we were struggling in that first half after we scored. It was pretty good, but the mood quickly turned in the second half after we conceded, and then thereafter we conceded the third. There was a lot of. There was definite booing when that free kick happened. I don't know if you remember the second half where 2 players ran over and Dougie was going to play it sort of short and then decided not to, and then played it to the right, and Cash took a shot. And just the fans it wasn't booing out of, what it normally is like. It's more booing out of frustration, like, what the hell is going on? What are we doing? I think more fans were just confused with what exactly we were doing in terms of what our tactics were, what our strategy was, what did we come there to do? We talked before the match, Dan, if you remember, about Crystal Palace are going to be good on the transition, they're going to be dangerous on the break with Zaha and Eze, and they're going to look to exploit our wing backs. If we can say that, we can sit here and say that before the game, and probably half the fan base can say that before the game. I don't really understand why our management team can't see that, and it was really frustrating, really, and it was really eye-opening for me in terms of the team shape and what Chris is talking about, the patterns of play, in terms of what style of play are we actually trying to play here, what are we trying to do, what is our tactic. We talked last time about Gerrard coming in initially, making us hard to beat, making us making us a bit more cautious, and we could see a clear implementation of philosophy in the first few games straight away. It's been 9 months now, probably longer, and I don't see any difference to what we were doing to Dean Smith, to be honest, and it is really concerning.
I think we're worse than when Gerrard first came in terms of, I can just point back to that Crystal Palace game at Selhurst Park when Gerrard first took over. I think it was his second game in charge. The distances between players, we weren't easy to play through. It felt like we were quite cohesive. If you looked at the average position of the players, it was all tight. It would be what you would expect. Look at the average positions of the players for this game at the weekend, and I just can't really understand it. And I think one thing that Dolan said at the start about being too easy to play through, that's been a criticism of Villa for a long time now, and we've now changed defensive midfielder. I think people used to think Maybe it was Luiz's fault that we were too easy to play for, because for a number 6, he's quite attacking. But we've brought in a genuine number 6 now, a French international, and we've still got the same problems. I know it's early days, and I'm not slagging him off or criticising him at all, but we're still so easy to play through. And I just look at that team and I watch Villa, and I just think the midfield's a massive problem, Dolan, because there's no passers in there. And if you're not a physical side, you need to be good on the ball. And Villa are not physical, but we're also not very good on the ball. I watch other teams and I just think they pass the ball with so much more penetration, with Villa so much more zip in what they do. Villa's passing, it's so slow at times. There's no penetration. And then when things break down, we were 1-0 up, looking pretty good. We were then on the attack again. I think it was the attack where Buendia went down. Arguably could have been a penalty. Probably wasn't. But within 5 seconds, the ball's in the back of our net because they've just played one simple ball and Zaha's broke through a whole side and has gone through. And you watch those kind of things, Dolan, and you're confused by them.
It's just, I always find it fascinating when things are so obvious to the supporters, when things are so glaringly obvious within a squad. We've been calling out our midfield for years. We haven't had a really good midfield in about a decade, since Gareth Barry, Petrov, going back to Ian Taylor. I can't think of a really, really proper solid CDM or enforcer that we've had, and we've got such a soft spine, such a soft centre to us, and I think, as you said, I think we've gone backwards. And I saw a quote, I've seen a few quotes in the chat like, oh, relax, calm down. It's only 3 games. But I made this very clear after Bournemouth. It's not about this season. It's looking back over the last sort of, 10 months. Gerrard's he's won 3 in the last 3 out of 14. 2 points. Sides above us in the table, 1 point recovered from losing positions, 20 goals conceded from a 21.1 goal average, and 2 clean sheets in 14 games. So, just looking at some of the stats from Villa Analytics, and it's worrying. It's really, really worrying. And we were the narrative of give me a season, and he's had the pre-season, and by all accounts, I just don't see where we're going, and the next are going to be very, very difficult, and I just don't know what's going on at the minute. I made a few comments in the WhatsApp towards the end of last season, maybe comparing Gerrard to a bit of a Tim Sherwood 2.0. But I look at it, and somebody said to me, I was speaking to the lads from the Villa podcast, at least it was fun under Tim Sherwood. This just doesn't feel fun. It doesn't feel fun. And, I watch presses, and it's all very flat. And listen, I'm side, and we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Like, we watched I watched the Arsenal documentary. I finished it last week, and the work that was going on internally that you don't see is fascinating, and it's incredible. And you see what Arteta has done and the work he put in and kind of where they're at now. But let's be honest, Arsenal have and had a much better squad than us under Arteta when he first came in. And you knew they were always going to get out of trouble and around the sort of top half of the table. We're miles off it, absolutely miles off it. And Gerrard was brought in to compete and bring that winning mentality against the big sides. But Dean Smith's record in that second season, we were unbeaten against Chelsea, beat Tottenham, beat Arsenal twice, beat Liverpool. We were comfortably beaten the top 4, top 5 sides. And last season, we were nowhere near it. And going to this season as well, after the first 3 games, it just looks like an absolute country mile away from where we need to be. And yeah, like I say, mate, miles off it.
Yeah, Omar, there is an argument that everyone's watching that Arsenal documentary at the moment, so it's easy to look at and say Arsenal looked a bit wayward. No one really knew where Arsenal were going, but they've given it time and they've got off to a great start to the season. They're sitting top of the league with 9 points, but they've got an identity and they look like what they were doing. But I would say to that, even at times under Arteta, I think I could see what they were doing, and then they had the recruitment even. Like at the time, again, I questioned it, but now I look at it and think, okay, what they were doing was making sense. But pretty much everything with Villa at the moment, nothing feels quite right. We obviously had it break down trying to get Ismail Assar from Watford, but you're looking at the Villa team and thinking we already can't get our attacking players into the same team. We're already struggling to do that. It's great to have options, and especially with the 5 subs, you need it. But we're crying out for a central midfielder and a number 8 who can put his foot on the ball, or maybe some physicality somewhere. We're desperate for a centre-back, but we're trying to bring in Ismail Assar. Everything feels off at the moment, the performances and behind the scenes as well. It's a really strange time, because before the season started, I was excited. I liked what we'd done. I liked the signing of Diego Carlos. I liked the signing of Boubacar Kamara. But now I look at it and just think, this is pretty much the same 11 as last season, and we're putting in the same kind of performances that we saw towards the back end of last season. Because when Gerrard came in 2021, there was things I saw that I liked and I got, and I thought, yes, this will improve. This is what we needed. But being completely honest, 2022 Steven Gerrard, I've seen very little that's telling me that we're heading in the right direction so far. It's early days, I get, but I'm worried.
Yeah, I am. And I mean, the football fan in me is more than hope out of anything else, probably desperation more than anything else, is thinking, it's 3 games of the season. You hope something changes. We've got the players there. Neil Critchley's come in late. Maybe there's going to take some time for adjustment. But what I saw, and the football person in me can see, it's plainly obvious to see that I have very little faith, if any faith at all, in the current setup. And I look at the Arsenal comparison, and I just don't think it's the same, because, as you say, they had a strategy, they had a idea of a plan and what they were going to do, and they were looking to buy a certain style of a certain player, a certain profile of player. We are buying ready-made players, ever since the Ings signing, which was a big shift in mentality and big shift in the profile of player that we're signing. Ings, Coutinho, Luka Dean, these types of players are not going to get better. They're at their peak. So it's not like Arsenal, where they're buying younger players, where they're hoping they improve with the team over time, and eventually they adapt and they buy into what Arteta's trying to do. These players have been playing different styles for years and are at their peak. They're not going to get any better than they already are. So I don't think it's a fair comparison. And I'm concerned with what I saw on Saturday and what I've seen so far. I just don't see how we improve in terms of the tactics. The 2 number 8s, for example, the midfield, which is a big problem for us. Again, playing on the wrong side. It was a massive issue on Saturday, because neither McGinn or Ramsey were coming for the ball, and when they did come for the ball, they were crowded out straight away. So all was happening was we're playing along the back line, and then our fullbacks are either trying to bomb on or trying to play a ball over the top. And if they can't get the ball over the top, they play it back to Mings, and then he tries a diagonal. And we were trying that all the time. And I saw a few comments about Watkins' hold of play wasn't good enough, but you could put Emil Heskey on top of Duncan Ferguson, on top of Niall Quinn in that game, and none of them would have been able to hold that ball up the way that we were playing. And just no patterns of play. Crystal Palace had Jeffrey Schlupp and Cheat Decore as a 2-man midfield, and we've got 3 midfield there, and we should be bossing that game. We should be bossing that midfield, and we didn't at all. And it's really concerning, because I looked at that team and none of the players knew what they were doing. Dolan talked about patterns of play at the beginning. If Mings gets the ball, or Konza gets the ball, or Luka Dean gets the ball, or Cash gets the ball, you should see the players moving around into certain positions. You should see what they're rehearsing on the training pitch in terms of, if the ball's in this position, Bundia drops deep, picks the ball off, McGinn goes in behind, Ramsey comes across and covers. Or when the ball's in the forward positions and on the transition, Kamara drops off, one fullback stays back, one fullback goes forward. And you saw, when we score the goal, you could see Zaha and Eze completely free in acres of space. So if Bailey misses that header, then bang, they're away straight away. And those types of things are really, really concerning, because if we could see an idea, if we could see, there's something working towards here and it's not quite clicking, and the players are not quite there, not quite buying into it, and you'd be like, fair enough, we'll give them time. I generally don't see what happens from here. Where do we improve? And Ismail Assar, I would personally love to have him, and I'm gutted that we haven't, and that deal's fallen through. But it looks like at the moment anyway, because I think the way that we played on Saturday probably suits that type of player, because all we were doing was trying to launch it into channels and hoping they run onto it and make something happen out of nothing. I suppose he's a good type of player for that. But if we are going to get someone like him, then I would say, and we said it before, we've got to start playing 4-2-3-1. I just don't see any other formation that works for us. We've got to get. You saw Dougie Luiz come on Saturday. I don't know what you thought of his performance, but straight away, I know Crystal Palace are probably letting us have the ball a little bit more, but he's coming deep. He's picking the ball up. He's playing 1-2s with Kamara. First time touch round the corner to Cash. All these types of things where the ball's moving quickly. We're taking 3 or 4 touches on the ball. Every single player is taking 3 or 4 touches on the ball. And McGinn has to take 3 and 4 touches on the ball because he gets the ball, he's on the wrong hand side, he has to try and get it back onto his left foot, he turns into trouble, then he has to take someone on to find a bit of space, and then he's trying to launch the ball forward. And Ramsey's doing the same thing. And it's every football team in the Premier League, you see all the other teams, I'm sure we're going to talk about other teams, how well they're doing as well, but every team plays 1-2 touch. They don't keep the ball for more than a few seconds. And we're keeping the ball for 4 or 5 seconds, which is just terrible in the Premier League, and just doesn't work.
Yeah, you've got a problem with your audio still, Omar. It's crackling. It went briefly, and the crackles come back. So if you could try and do something about that, I'm sure the viewers would really appreciate it. Dolan, head in hands, pretty much how I looked all Saturday afternoon there. I think Omar raises a valid point with the 4-2-3-1 because 4-3-3. The way Gerrard wants to play with the 2 off the striker being quite narrow, you expect to have a semblance of control in the middle of the park. And Villa just don't have that at all. There's no control. We always look second best through the middle. Too easy to play through. Don't make enough happening going forward. Midfield, I think, is the start of all our problems. Now, if you play 4-2-3-1, I think straight away you're helping out your new signing, Kamara, who's getting used to the league. He's got Luiz, for example, next to him, who's adept on the ball, can pass. I think that helps him instantly. It gets you another one of your attacking players into the team with the 3 playing off the strike, because we don't have to keep having these debates of who should play out of Bailey, Buendia and Coutinho. You can fit them all in the team. Playing off Watkins, but you'd have more cover defensively and you'd have more options going forward, because we look wrong going both ways for me at the moment. And I'm sat there watching Leeds on Sunday. Jesse Marsh has taken a lot of sticks since he came to that job. I watched them against Chelsea and I could see what they wanted to be. I could see their identity. I thought I knew what a Steven Gerrard team wanted to be. And I think it was compact, short, sharp passing, playing with 2 number 10s. But we haven't got the midfield to play that way. We don't have it. So we need to do something else. But I still, honestly, at the moment, I don't know what type of side we are, because we're not a counter-attacking team. We're not a team that keeps the ball well. We're not a team that dominates and flies forward. Fullbacks is the only thing I can identify as being an obvious tactic that Aston Villa play with, getting your fullbacks coming forward. But that doesn't work. That's not really doing much for us either. So at this point, to watch a manager at Leeds who hasn't been there as long as Gerrard, Eddie Howe at Newcastle is another example. I don't like bringing this up, but they have been in the job at the same time. I think we've probably spent more money than Eddie Howe. I could be wrong with that, but that's just something off the top of my head that I think is true. They started in a worse position than us, Newcastle. I know they've had some investment and there's some feel good, but we could have quite easily got some feel good around what was going on with Gerrard coming in. There's just a lot of things feel off at the moment from watching other teams and watching us. And that game against Crystal Palace could have been a lot worse. We were very, very fortunate to go in at half-time 1-1 in that game. We should have been counting our blessings to be 1-1. Instead of making substitutions at 3-1 down, Douglas Luiz should have been on at half-time, because we had absolutely no control in that midfield whatsoever. It's too reactive. You're bringing him on to try and get a foothold in the game at 3-1 down. He should have been on at half-time, because Aston Villa could not look after the ball.
Yeah, as you say, mate, we were, we couldn't believe our luck going in at half-time.
I was delighted.
Because, listen, you can talk about big moments in games, and you listen to Gerrard's post-match, and he was claiming that we were in the game in the second half, and the penalty was a
few things happened. We did it at the bar at 1-1, didn't we?
Yeah, but I mean, for me, Palace's goal being ruled off by VAR was, I thought, very, very fortunate for us. I thought it was extremely, extremely tight. Could have gone either way. Again, the defending was just, it was laughable. Oh. It was absolutely laughable. So we got away with one there massively. And then the penalty, listen, I don't know what to say on that one, really.
It's harsh.
It's harsh, but you look back,
set pieces again.
Kind of see, you can see why it was given. And if I'm a Palace fan, I'm screaming for that all day long. And if it goes for you, then you're going to find ways to justify it, and if it goes against you, then of course you're always going to find a way to oppose it. But just dreadful, man. Just dreadful. I mean, I think I WhatsApped you during the game saying, that's still the same centre back pairing that we had when we came up, and we couldn't defend then. We've had one season where we were solid, like very, very solid. In the second season, and we've just gone back to complete calamity Villa, and there's just no balance again. I felt Dean Smith last season didn't know his best team, didn't know his best formation. The players were unfit coming into the season. He was always kind of playing catch up, and then when he went on that 5-game run, it was kind of, unfortunately, it was inevitable that there was going to be a change. And I honestly see no difference at all to playing. You look at that Arsenal game away. We were abject last season. You look at Southampton away game, we can see that after a couple of minutes. And you're looking around and you're kind of going, well, who's going to take the game by the scruff of the neck? There's nobody, even now, there's nobody I can see that's going to drag that team back to some kind of levels of, well, let's have a go. And I think everyone's lost. Everyone looks lost. And it's just bizarre. It's just bizarre for it to be so bad so quickly. But some things just never seen in Villa, and it's like I say, it's just not enjoyable, man. It's just not enjoyable at all. It's not enjoyable at all. Yes, I can maybe be seen as being a bit negative, but give me a reason over the last sort of 4, 5, 6, 7 years to give me any reason to be confident going into the season, because it's the same old nonsense. I honestly believe that the Gerrard was a complete call from Perslow. I mean, you're looking at his record for Rangers. I mean, I could manage Celtic and Rangers. I honestly could. I could go up to Scotland and give it a right good go. So you're looking at his record, and I said before, we lost our star man in Grealish. We lost that appeal that the club had, and I think Perslow wanted to bring in a big name, a big star name, and starry lights, and at the minute it's backfiring, and it's not looking good.
Yes. It does feel a funny time to be so flat after 3 games. I mean, thank God we did beat Everton last weekend. Otherwise, I think we'd be here a lot even flatter, because, Omar, the next 3 games don't look great. West Ham are rocking up at Villa Park next week. 0 goals, 0 points. So I think already we all know exactly what's going to happen there. Within 10 minutes of the game, West Ham will be 1-0 up like they were last season. You've got City and Arsenal, I think it is. After that, I'm not sure what ordering, but, we could be in big trouble after 6 games, because we've gone to Bournemouth and been abject. Palace was pretty abject. In all honesty, there was moments. I think Gerrard is a valid point that we did hit the bar with Bailey. We did play some nice stuff at times in the first half, but then they just bully us. Absolutely, the lack of physicality in this Villa team. Every team we play against, I think we look small here compared to them. Every single team. There's only Mings with any size in the Aston Villa team. So when I'm talking about passing being a problem, also look at the physical side of things and think that's a disaster as well. How have we not rectified that in 3 years in the Premier League? This is our 4th year back in the Premier League. Why have we still not got a physical player in this side? Because when teams are coming at you, someone to break the play up a little bit and offer some size from set pieces, help us out from set pieces. Diego Carlos was obviously brought in to add a little bit of size in there, but just the midfield, I keep harping back to it. I just think the midfield is a huge, huge problem for Villa. And if we don't do anything in this transfer window and we continue to play the same kind of tactics and formation that we're going with, I think we are going to struggle.
Yeah, hopefully it sounds better than in next season, but
it's actually worse, which is good.
It's worse, mate.
Is it actually worse?
Yeah. I don't know what we're going to do there. I might
Oh
have to
my
throw that
God.
question to you, Dolan.
Sorry,
Do
Omar.
you see what I mean about the physical? Do you know what I mean about the physical aspect? Like, why have we got no physicality? All the best teams have got some physicality in their team. Even Man City have got Rodri who sits there, and obviously the Diaz has got some size. Stones, Laporte, they're all fairly sizable. You know, we don't have anything. And as I keep going back to it, if you want to be a passing team, you have to be good on the ball, and we are no good on the ball. So if you're not good at passing, you need to have some physicality because you're not going to dominate the game, and we don't have that either.
Yeah.
So two
Yeah,
of those things are absolutely massive.
The midfield for me always wins the game. Like I looked at that team sheet tonight and I saw Henderson, Milner, and Harvey Elliott as a midfield three, and
that's valid.
straight away, I'm thinking this just doesn't strike any fear into me if I'm the opposing player. And United were, give them credit, they were very, very good tonight, and they exploited.
But you know what? They earned the right to be in the game. Exactly what they didn't do against Brentford. They didn't work. I don't think Villa earned the right at times to be in that Crystal Palace game because we were just too easy to bypass. You've got to earn the right to be in a football match. That's why Man U beat Liverpool. They were on it. Liverpool weren't.
I am stunned that one of the greatest midfielders of his generation cannot get that midfield clicking. You know, one of the greatest midfielders, one of the greatest passers of, you know, just one of them. He was just a phenomenal footballer. He had everything, and I kind of worry if it's like, you know, people say about people, you know, like sometimes great footballers don't make great managers because their expectations are too high. And you look at Roy Keane, and it didn't quite work for him, and you're sort of thinking, is Gerrard not able? Is he just not able to? The players aren't able to carry out what he wants to do because they're not, maybe they're not good enough, or he's got ideas and expectations way above the level that we have. And I've seen some comments again on the chat, like, you know, can you try and be positive? You know, can we try and get a fan channel with people on it that are positive? But if you can,
I think people don't like that.
Exactly, you know, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. I think it was Christopher Gonzalez was like, well, if you can write in the comments, mate, what you think, you know, we can talk about that's positive, then by all means, I'll give it a go. But as you said, Dan, you know, we're the kind of channel that tries to be very subjective, and we hate calling out individuals and hate.
And we're not really doing that. It's a collective thing. It's the players and the manager and what's behind the scenes. Everything feels a little bit off at the moment.
It's a collective, and you know, we haven't. I don't think we've really name checked a single player from that game on Saturday, because they were all, from to a man, dreadful, absolutely dreadful. And you can forgive a shit performance at Bournemouth. You can kind of forgive that, but let's be honest, mate. You're not going to play Frank Lampard every week. You're not going to play every week. So I thought we were just average against them as well. But that's like two really, really shocking performances to kick off the season against teams, well, you'd think would be able to beat. I know there's no easy 3 points in that league, but there has to be whenever you want to bang on about getting top 6, top 8, top 10. I mean, we've been lucky because there's been, last season there was obviously 3 teams that were a bit, Norwich, and who else went down? Very forgettable. Who was the third club that went down last season?
Norwich went down, Burnley went down,
Burnley, and Watford.
Burnley,
Watford.
Who beat us twice?
But you're looking at teams that you know have been pretty average over the last few seasons, and there's a long way to go. But Fulham just look like a different outfit, completely different outfit. Forest, you know, I think will do well. They've kind of got that element of Sheffield United when they come up. You know, I think the City ground's going to be rocking weekly. And Bournemouth, I think they will struggle. But you look around and you know, we at the minute we're the kind of that team that could that I look at and think, well, you know, you're West Ham next week. You're gonna be loving coming to Villa Park. You know, absolutely. You know, there's no
worse nightmare to play against as well, physical.
They are.
physical
There's
side.
nothing to fear, yeah. And they're big and they're physical and they're strong and they're not attractive in the air, but they're not attractive on the eye. But I tell you what, mate, they'll be pumping balls into that box and they'll be on us. And you can just see, as you said, like no wins, no goals. It's like, well, welcome to Villa Park, lads. You know, help yourself, because that's what we do. We seem to be, the gift that keeps on giving, and I really don't know what to say. And then obviously the whole SAR debacle that broke after the game, people thought was that a PR move from the club, because we obviously, we got battered against Palace, and let's stick a little let's leak out the new signing. But that clearly something's gone on there that I put my finger on. What was it? The player? Was it the club? It was a bit like Tarkowski, for a fact that like that was a done deal, pretty much like the SAR deal that was done, and then the club, I think the club pulled out of that one. So I'd certainly take a James Tarkowski or a Connor Cody now, that's for sure. But I don't know, mate. I don't know what's going on. I look at the summer, I look at the transfers in, and it doesn't inspire me. I look at Coutinho, and somebody made a reference to James Rodriguez. Could Coutinho kind of go down that route? And he's been missing for the last sort of 10 or 12 games, and nothing's excited me in pre-season. And Kamara looks a player, but he's looking around him going, what's going on here? Like, what is going on here? He probably can't believe what he's walked into. And then Carlos sort of sums it up. It's just a really unfortunate injury. So I don't know where we go from here. Still got some time, but I think we'll maybe get more, 2 or 3 more in than we expected.
Yeah, I don't think we were
Let's see if we
looking
can.
at anyone until now.
Yeah, I mean, I know Gerrard said that he wanted to assess this squad after the Palace game. So listen, I don't know. I don't know. There's all sorts of rumors flying around Twitter, and there's tensions in the boardroom and tensions between Gerrard and Johan Lang, and yeah, I mean, like I say, we'll never know what goes on behind closed doors. But tomorrow's going to be very interesting. Because we need to win that game.
I don't think we can risk messing around with the team, and I don't want us to mess around with the team, because I want to win something. I want to go on a cup run again. I want to try. Let's take the cup seriously from day one in the Carabao Cup. Let's take it seriously from day one. We at the moment aren't good enough to go away and play a weakened side, I don't think.
No, we're not. Listen, there'll be the obvious changes. Olsen will come in. Probably Augustine will probably come in for his first debut. But apart from that, I want to see a pretty much a full strength team. I think Coutinho needs to play. He needs to try and get some confidence. He needs to try and find a goal or an assist. Archer, the perfect game to play Archer in.
Well, it sounds like he might.
But after that, yeah, I mean, we seem to be are we Watford's feeder club this season? I mean, I don't know what that's 3. That'll be 3 players.
Trying to build relations with them so we could get Sarr. That's not gone very well.
Well, I mean, honestly, man. So tomorrow's big, man. Tomorrow's a big game. And Bolton, yeah, I think they were roundly tanked by Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday, but they've done well. They play some good football. I took a bit of an interest in them, because when you see big clubs like Bolton going almost out of business and into the abyss, it's kind of one of those stories. I just sort of keep an eye on them, and their manager Ian Ebbott's done a really good job, and they play some brilliant football. So it's it could be echoes of the snowy defeat when we lost there. I think it was the evening 5:30 kickoff. I think it was 1-0 in the snow, or
every
it could
striker
be
in the on the books in the pitch.
Yeah, and then or it could be the last time we played Bolton, we had goals from Jack Grealish and Tammy Abraham. I mean, God, what you would do to have those 2 players in your starting 11. So yeah, it's going to be tough, mate. But I don't know, man. We just need to get wins quick, and we need to do something quick, because it could turn nasty.
I've got memories of JJ Okocha absolutely taking the mick out of us in the League Cup in the semi-final. But it's 5-2 in the first leg.
Yeah,
Vintage Villa
outrageous
just
free
like
kick.
that. Get
Outrageous
yourself into
free
a
kick.
semi-final. Get pumped 5-2
Yeah,
in the first leg.
yeah, yeah.
Horrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
mate, classic.
Oh.
Some things never change. Yeah, some things just never change.
Yeah,
But,
sometimes you do just have to laugh, otherwise you would cry. But yeah, this has been not a great show to do, but it is what it is. You know, I genuinely think I'm as positive as they come as a Villa fan. I don't think there's many people around who are as positive as me, but those 2 away performances have left me concerned. And in general, just watching Villa at the moment, I don't really understand what we are, and that's worrying.
But who do we
At
bring
this
in? I
point,
mean, like, who do we bring in? We need, and clubs will know now that we need to get players in, so they're going to hike the price up straight away. So who do you bring in? I mean, Bednarak sounds like it's done, but I mean, that's hardly going to get you.
He's no better. He's no better than Chambers. Well, he's
no
better than Chambers.
So that's a squad filler, but who's going to come in like with that midfield?
Crying out for a number 8, crying out for a passer or someone who's got a bit of physicality. It's never ever going to happen, and I've wanted it all summer, and it won't happen. I mean, maybe if we threw absolute crazy money at him because he's on the bench for Leicester at the moment. But Tielemans make a world of difference in that midfield. But you know, clubs that are in Europe are going to want him if he's available. Someone who's in Europe will come and take him. Arsenal should be all over Tielemans. A few teams. I mean, to be fair, Liverpool should be all over Tielemans after watching the midfield tonight as well. I'd absolutely dream about signing someone like that, but it's not going to happen. But I do think they need to pull a number 8 from somewhere, or just play Luiz, because I think Luiz has got faults. I don't think he's the answer to all our prayers, but I think you'll see a more functional midfield with Douglas Luiz playing in it at the moment. I think you can't keep playing that same midfield because we're losing games. We're getting out battled. We're getting out passed. You've got to change it. You've got to do something. So we'll see what he does tomorrow night, and we'll see what he does on Sunday against West Ham as well. Omar's departed us due to audio issues, but Dolan, thanks for joining me, and thanks to Omar as well, and thanks for tuning in. Obviously, we've done it quite late tonight because of the Manchester United-Liverpool game, but yeah, I wanted to watch it, so we did the Villa View later on than we would usually do it. Should we do a post-match point tomorrow? We'll let you know on social media whether we do a post-match point tomorrow or not. We probably should. So, yeah, get your eyes peeled on our social media for that. Only other thing left to say is buy some Purity and use the code #VillaView to get 10% off. Their lovely Villa Ale is always available. You should go and get some. Thanks ever so much for watching. Up the Villa.